One of the Thai idioms for meditation practice is making an effort. Now, a lot of us don't like seeing it that way. We like to think of meditation more as a process of not doing anything, of relaxing. Well, there is relaxation, but there's relaxed effort. Actually, joyful effort, because the term relaxed effort sounds like a lax effort, which it's not. We're making an effort in pleasure and ease, trying to develop a state of mind where the body is suffused with pleasure and rapture. And there's work there. It's the work of directed thought and evaluation, evaluating the breath so it can give rise to a sense of ease, at least in some spot of the body. And then being able to work that sense of ease and fullness throughout the whole body, which requires that you understand the process of breathing, you understand how you relate to feelings, what can be actually done with the feeling of pleasure, how it can be allowed to spread, what ways of trying to make it spread don't work, what ways do work. This requires effort. But when you have the right attitude toward the effort, it pays off. Right effort is sometimes described as a certain level or amount of effort, and that does play a role, but it's more important that you understand what's skillful and what's not. Because there are 4 areas that you have to attend to, and they all depend on having a good sense of what's skillful in the mind, what qualities are skillful, which qualities are not. The Pali word here is kusala, which is sometimes translated as wholesome, i.e. wholesome qualities and unwholesome qualities. But that misses an important aspect of the practice. We're trying to develop the attitude toward effort that you have when you're developing a skill. When you see the importance of the skill and begin to get a sense of mastery of the skill, there's a joy that comes. You'll notice this with any skill. As you begin to sense that you're becoming a better and better cook, you want to go back into the kitchen and work at it some more. As you begin to master a foreign language, you find that you enjoy learning new words, figuring out the idioms, trying to test your skill so that it gets better and better. You want to take the same attitude towards the meditation. In fact, you want to take the same attitude towards your whole life. When you're dealing with other people, think of it as a skill, because you're bound to run into difficult people. You're bound to run into difficult situations. And if you simply wilt in the face of difficulty, you never learn anything. Or if you want to try to avoid difficulty, want to be surrounded nothing but wonderful people, you don't belong in the human realm, because you're never going to find a situation like that. But if you realize that regardless of the difficulties, there are ways of dealing with them that are more skillful than others, and as you've developed those skills, you find that you're more and more eager to master them, to perfect them. And that's the right attitude toward right effort. Regarding, say, the hindrances of the mind as a challenge that you want to meet. Regarding the factors for awakening, also as a challenge that you want to master. And as with any skill, you're going to find that you make incremental progress at some times, and other times there are big leaps and bounds. But you want to value both. If you look down on the incremental progress, you're developing the wrong attitude. You have to learn how to prize the times when you make as John Mahabua says, even one little tiny piece of bark on this tree of your defilements. Gets taken off. You should value that fact. Because as you value the little bits of skill, that gives you encouragement to work on them again and again and again, until you finally, there are days when you see huge strips of bark coming off. So on the one hand, you've got the unskillful qualities of the mind, and your duties with regard to those are two. You want to generate desire, arouse your persistence, uphold your intent. For abandoning unskillful qualities that have already arisen, and for preventing unskillful qualities that haven't arisen, to prevent them from arising. Notice desire is an important part of the practice here. This is where the Buddha explicitly recommends it as part of the path. And again, the way to spark that desire is to regard all of this as a skill, or even as a game. If you've ever played a game of strategy, you want to take that same attitude and bring it toward dealing with your sensual desire, or your anger, or your sloth and torpor, your restlessness and anxiety, or your uncertainty. What are the strategies of these unskillful qualities? How do they move in and take over the mind? You want to figure out their strategies so that you can have some strategies of your own. Then there are the skillful qualities, the 7 factors for awakening. Mindfulness as a factor for awakening. Analysis of qualities, i.e. analyzing things into skillful and unskillful. Persistence, rapture, serenity, concentration, and equanimity. These are things, if they haven't arisen yet, you want to give rise to them, and when they have arisen, you want to develop them. Notice that the Buddha's attitude here is not that you simply watch these things come and go. Sometimes you hear that, okay, if concentration comes, just note the fact that concentration is there, don't get attached to it, and watch it go away, and you'll see the truth of inconstancy. That's not what the Buddha taught. Your duty here is to, once you've given rise to it, you want it to develop, you want to bring it to culmination. And again, it involves desire, but it's a skillful use of desire. I.e. desire that understands cause and effect. Our unskillful desires are the ones that don't want to hear anything about cause and effect. They just want what they want. Skillful desire realizes, okay, in order to get a certain cause, you've got to give rise to a certain effect. In order to get rid of something, you have to get rid of its causes. So if you find that there's sensual desire taking over your mind, well, try to figure out what are the causes of the desire. You can't attack the desire directly. You've got to attack the causes. When you want to give rise to mindfulness, okay, you just can't think, poof, mindfulness. You've got to ask yourself, what are the causes of mindfulness? What nurtures it? Being very careful about your behavior, being very careful about your precepts. That's one thing that fosters mindfulness. Well, look at your daily life. Are you very careful about your behavior? Are you sloppy? This quality of being meticulous